This comes up a lot, and so there's a great time to answer it. So Jason from Knoxville says, what can I expect to get for 200K for a condo on each island? What amenities, age, condition to look for? What neighborhoods to check out? And then the follow on with is George from Bristol, and more on the Big Island. He says, I have about 250K to spend on a house. It seems like the Big Island is my only affordable island. Can you get a 1,200 square foot house, 2 bedrooms, 2 bath in a decent condition for that price? Any other of the islands? Single family home, not a condo. Mahalo. So it's the general question that, again, we get it often on the, what does 250K buy or something like that. So Scott, why don't you kind of get started with this? And if someone says, I want to spend 250 on Oahu, what's your response?
Yeah, 250,000 if you're in Honolulu, you're Punchbowl, Waikiki, your kind of workforce housing area, and your studio to a 1-bedroom with a parking stall, no frills building, very minimum, probably 500 square feet max. There's a couple in Waikiki, but they're going to be hotel rooms, essentially short-term rental kind, and that was like, when I looked, it was Waikiki Marina with $1,000 a month maintenance fee. So that kind of blows the idea of a $250,000 purchase out of the water, because your payment's going to be significantly higher for that. Otherwise, your leeward coast, Makaha, Waianae side, which gives you distance. You're going to be out in the country, and the same thing up on the windward coast near the North Shore. That's it. You essentially start with your condo pricing, what you're thinking of living in at 250,000 and up here.
So what you're basically saying is really 250 is really the floor. You really wouldn't want to, realistically speaking, if you want to get some sort of a long-term place that you want to live in for a bunch of years, that you're not going to get sort of cramped up in or tired in or whatever, you really want to be looking above the 250 range. 250 is really certainly the floor of what your range is.
That's correct. And I would say the single family home side is $500,000, 500.
Oh, great. Single family home, $500,000 on Oahu. Again, just to get yourself started.
Yeah, you can get a little less on the leeward coast, but 400,000. But it's going to need work, single wall construction, commute, all the things we've talked about before.
Right. It's the good old supply and demand kind of feature. So, but obviously it's a different angle on the Big Island. So Dylan, again, what's 250. I want to spend 250, get a single family home, 2-bedroom, 2-bath is what he's saying, 1,200 square foot home. What's that market looking like on the Big Island? Where would you, is that a possibility?
Yes, it is a possibility. You definitely can get that, and a very decent home in really good condition. The other two things that are going to come with that, though, are definitely a drive. You're going to be a ways away from the major, market centers of Kona and Hilo. Probably 30 minutes minimum, 40 minutes to an hour. It would be more on average. And you're also most likely going to have county or catchment water. So the rural areas of the Big Island don't have municipal water service. Most of those areas get enough rainfall where many people live on catchment just fine. It's not a big deal. But that's two things that are definitely going to come with a property that is in that $200 to $300 price range. A lot of times you're going to get it with an acre of land too, because these are agricultural subdivisions that were subdivided a long time ago. And so, you get some space, you get some land maybe to do some planting and stuff, but you just do have to be okay with the rural nature of driving, 30 to 40 minutes to a grocery store, and definitely an hour plus to like an airport or Costco and stuff like that. So you can get it, you just got to get the other things that come with it.
So to like in the same kind of question I've asked to Scott, it's like if you didn't want to be, out in the boonies per se, or a half-hour drive, 40-minute drive into modern civilization, and you kind of wanted to kind of live, let's say, close to quote town, whatever town that is, whether it's Hilo or Kona, what kind of a price range really should you realistically be? Not realistically, but what kind of price range would you recommend if I wanted to live a little closer, didn't want to drive so far out?
You almost got to be looking at 500,000 plus for a single family house. I mean, there are homes that come on the market for under 500,000 in those areas, but they're going to be fixer uppers. They're going to need a lot of work. Sometimes you're going to need cash because they're going to be REOs that you're going to have to compete with other cash buyers for. So home wise, you're looking 500,000 plus. there are definitely a lot of condo options in that lower price range. 2 to 300,000, more going to be one bedroom, small. But again, as Scott mentioned, you definitely want to take into account the maintenance fees, because a lot of times people have an idea of their monthly cost if they're doing a mortgage, or what their overall cost of living is going to be month to month. And if they don't factor in a $500 to $1,000 a month maintenance fee, it can throw that $200,000 to $300,000 purchase price off, when you run the numbers, either in a mortgage or your expected monthly costs if you're paying cash.
So that's an interesting thing now, what you're saying, because I just heard Scott saying, look, if you're looking at single family home, you got to be looking at 500K. And I just heard you say, you really got to have, 500K. Now there's a difference in those two 500Ks. The 500K that Dylan is talking about, you're in, I don't want to call it a prime location, but you're in a very desirable location. You're close to town. You're close to shopping.
And move-in ready.
Move-in
ready. Yeah. Scott's talking fixer upper 500. Bad fixer upper.
Either that or you're way out. You're way out. You're in booty land.
You're in Evo. You're in Evo. I mean, I was just looking at a flip property, which I sent you that picture of, Peter, and in Palolo for 400,000, but it's a 150,000, 175 you're gonna have to put into it. This thing was hammered, but you can move into a $500,000 property in Eva Beach, move in condition. I got one coming on the market Tuesday. We're 5-bedroom, 3-bath, 1,700 square feet. We're gonna be at 675, which is it'll be straight move-in condition, but you can get it at 500,000 there.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
But Oahu is developed from Honolulu outward. So the closer you are to the urban core, the older the property tends to be, and the more expensive it ends up being because of your close proximity to everything that you want. The further out you go, the more the commute will get, and the more affordable it gets, and the newer the homes get.
Yeah, and again, so the big difference is, that in terms of the difference in what you get for the money is, in Kona, it's 500K move-in condition. You're really close to quote town. In Honolulu, it's 500K, 600K, but you're out in Eva Beach, which is, on a bad day for traffic, it's a 2-hour commute, hour and a half commute. These days with COVID, it's a 20-minute commute, but that is the difference.